Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I would like to welcome you all today for joining His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj's daily online class. A very warm welcome to you all. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Haribo, glories to Prabhupada, for my obeisances to all the devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jayasya Janotpatanasanaya. Karma Kartur Grahanaya Pumsam Navanyata Kor Atadeha Yogam Paro Gunanam Utakarma Tantram. Translation: the appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to the material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Purport. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. It's the first line from the Brahma Samhita 5.1. The form of the Lord is eternal, blissful, and all satisfying. His so-called birth is therefore an appearance only, like the birth of the sun on the horizon. His birth does not, like that of the living entities, takes place under the influence of material nature and the bondage of the reactions of past deeds. He works and activities are independent pastimes, and he is not subject to the reactions of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:14, it is said, Namam karmani limpanti name karma phalaspriha ityo mam vijananti karma vena sabhadyate. The law of karma enacted by the Supreme Lord for the living entities cannot be applicable to him, nor has the Lord any desire to improve himself by activities like those of ordinary living beings. Ordinary living beings work for the improvement of their conditioned lives, but the Lord is already full of all opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Why should he desire improvement? No one can excel him in any of the opulences, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. One should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. Thus, one may come to the right conclusion regarding the transcendental position of the Lord. One who can come to the conclusion of the Lord's transcendence can become a devotee of the Lord and at once become free from all reactions of past deeds. It is said, Karmana nirdahanti kintucha bhakti bhajan. The Lord minimizes or nullifies the reactions of the influence of the devotees' past deeds. That's from the Brahma Samhita 5.54. The activities of the Lord are to be accepted and relished by all living entities. His activities are to attract the ordinary man towards the Lord. The Lord always acts in favors of the devotees, and therefore ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as protector of the devotees. The fruitive actors can attain their goal by devotional service, and the salvationists can also attain their goal in line by devotional service to the Lord. The devotees do not want the fruitive results of their work, nor do they want any kind of salvation. They relish the glorious superhuman activities of the Lord, such as his lifting Govardhan Hill in his killing the demon Putana in infancy. His activities are acted to attract all kinds of men, karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. Because he is transcendental to all laws, there is no possibility of him accepting a form of Maya as forced on the living entities who are bound by the actions and reactions of their own deeds. The secondary purpose of his appearance is to annihilate the upstart asuras and to stop the nonsense of atheistic propaganda by less intelligent persons. By the Lord's causeless mercy, the asuras who are killed personally by the personality of Godhead get salvation. The meaningful appearance of the Lord is always distinct from ordinary birth. Even the pure devotees have no connection with the material body, and certainly the Lord, who appears as he is in his form as Satchidananda, is not limited by a material form. Om Gyan Timiram Dasyad Gananjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapti Samyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadanti Swam Padantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Sutaraneva Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Avajanti Mamuha Manusim Tananasputam Padam Bhavam Magyanato Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. Fools deride me when I descend in my human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my position over all that be. So when the Lord comes to the material world, they always give some reason that is similar to the activities of the conditioned soul. You can sit on the house if you like. And so, although the Lord's activities are similar to the conditioned living beings, still, he doesn't touch the material energy. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samanvitaha mudo yo avajananti budo yo avayai. Last line. In other words, fools, those who see things through ordinary vision, even though they may even see the Lord personally, they can't recognize him, nor do they understand why he comes to the material world. They apply the same fruitive activities that the conditioned souls come. In other words, we're forced to take birth by our karma and our activities in previous lives in the material world. Karma Daivana Trena, the living entity, has to take birth according to their desires at the time of death from their previous life. And this is a cumulative thing that goes on life of the life. Maya Lavase, Kacho Bese, Kacho Ha Bubu Dubai, Jeev Krishna Dase, Vishwash, Kodina Dukanai. The living entity is also the same nature as the Supreme Lord. That is pure spiritual energy, but the living entity has a tendency to be covered by the external energy, which is the Maya Shakti. Although the living entity is spiritual, Maya Shakti is the material energy, still the Jiva is small. That's why the living entity is referred to as Jiva. Jiva means tiny or tendency to be covered by the external energy. But the Lord, He is the creator of the energies, both Bahiranga Shakti, which is the material energy, Antaranga Shakti, which is the spiritual energy, and the Jiva Shakti, which is the living entities in the material world. So just like a person who creates things does not become controlled by the thing they create, at least for those who are intelligent. Of course, the living entities, when we do create something in this material world, we find ourselves being caught up by the same activities that we created for some pleasure now causes difficulty or suffering and causes us to continue to live or sojourn in this material world by birth after birth. When Krishna came here 5,000 years ago, it says that millions of people saw him and also millions interacted with him. He had a family. He married 16,108 queens, and each one had 10 sons. And each of those 10 sons also had 10 sons and one daughter. So Krishna's family was almost like an empire itself. But it says that only between 100 and 200 persons who saw the Lord or interacted with the Lord actually understood his position as being the Supreme Lord. So no one can understand the Lord only by devotional service, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita. Only by this devotional service can I be understood as I am. He's talking to Arjuna, and he says, standing before you, and thus you can enter into my mysteries of my understanding. Otherwise, even if the Lord walks into you and sits next to you, you can't recognize him unless you engage in devotional service. And that's like the understanding is unless you qualify yourself, you will see things in the same way that you always see. Therefore, Krishna consciousness means that the purifications of our spiritual consciousness coming back to our natural consciousness. But the Lord has no need for purification because he is already pure. He is the source of purity. And when he comes to the material world, he comes for the benefit of the conditioned souls. Only he has no reason to come here for his own interests. He explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhutanam madharmasya tadatmaham srijamyaham Ritranayam sadunam vinasanaya chaduskritam dharma samstarpanartaya sambhavami yuge, life after life, or not life after life, but millennium after millennium, I come to this material world, and he gives three reasons. When irreligion goes so far down that the living entities become suffocated by atheistic and irreligious principles, and demons become prominent in the world, he appears. And then he kills the demons or removes their religion and then reestablishes religious principles by his presence. But that's secondary. Although he does come for that reason, that's not the main reason. The main reason he comes is to uplift his devotees who have given their lives for his service, to give them his association and to engage them in his activities as he performs them in the material world. So he does it for the benefit. Prabhupada said he can send a mighty earthquake or some kind of gigantic material calamity and kill millions of demons. He doesn't have to come to do that, but he does come for the benefit of his devotees, to uplift his devotees. But sometimes he comes to kill the demons when the demons become too prominent, such as we hear that Krishna came 5,000 years ago. Why did he come? The earth was overburdened by military forces, demoniac military forces. And Mother Bhumi, who was the personification of the earth herself, was so overburdened by such forces that she went to the demigods headed by Lord Brahma And Brahma brought Indra and the Devas to the Milk Ocean, which is the planet, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Svetadweep, in the material world, where the Lord resides in his form as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and prayed to the Lord, this is the situation, please do something. And then the Lord actually came, so that's why he came 5,000 years ago. When Hiranyakashipu became so powerful that he had practically all of the demigods except Brahma, Shiva, and Narada under his control. He had also taken over the heavenly planets, and he had also locked the conditioned souls into serving him as a supreme controller, powerful force. The Lord didn't do anything, even though Brahma came to him and said, this is the situation. The Lord said, yeah, but I'll come when he harasses my pure devotee. So when he started to harass his own son, Prahlad Maharaj, and even at one point tried to kill him, then the Lord made his plan to come to the material world. And he killed the demon, reestablished religious principles, set Prahlad Maharaj actually as the king of the world for a while after he grew up. In the meantime, he set up a political system that was in line with religious principles. Same thing happened when the Lord came 5,000 years ago, and there was this fratricidal contention between the two family members, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. The Pandavas were the rightful heir to the throne of the world, and Yudhisthira was the person to take the throne. But Duryodhana, using his position and power, usurped that power by his military force and pushed out the Pandavas. And then he tried to kill the Pandavas. The Lord was personally present on earth. This was in the later part of his life. Krishna was 125 years old at that time, but he still looked like a young boy. He doesn't get old like we get old. Old age is also a feature of the material world. The Lord is Navayovanam. He's always youthful in his appearance. Sometimes you see in certain religious systems, they depict God as an old man sitting on a cloud who's a scorekeeper. And what does he do? Heaven, hell, 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 heaven, hell, hell, hell. He sits there just, giving everyone the punishment or the reward. But that's not God. That's some caricature that they've created. So, but the Lord actually comes to uplift the earth back to when, just like when Hiranyaksha became so powerful and would start taking so much gold out of the earth lost its position in the cosmic creation and fell out of its orbit into the Garbhodak ocean, which is in the bottom of the universe. Then the Lord came and he picked up the earth, reestablished the earth back in its position, and killed the demon, Hiranyaksha. So no one could do that but God himself. The earth was so harassed that she actually lost her position. So when the world gets overburdened with demoniac forces, there are so many calamities that happen on the earth, just like we see that even today. There's so many forest fires, there are earthquakes, there are tidal waves, there are droughts, there are scarcities, there's so much, some places too much rain, in other places no rain. In other words, the inclement weather conditions are indicating of the sinful activities of the persons on the Earth planet. And this causes turbulence within the natural or the natural arrangement of the Lord. But so the Lord has come again in this age in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Kali Kale Namarupa Krishna Avatar Namahoite Haya Sarva Jagat Nistara, that Krishna appears in his own form as his name, and he descends. It's an avatar. He descends into this world to give the devotees his association through transcendental sound vibration, which not only becomes the protector of the devotee, but it's the uplifter of the devotee at the same time. The devotee becomes purified of material desires and qualifies themselves to go back home, back to the Godhead, as they purify themselves through the chanting of the holy name and service to the Vaishnavas. So that incarnation is it's called the incarnation in sound, but it's non different than the Lord. In the absolute realm, the Lord's name, the Lord's form, his qualities, and his transcendental pastimes are all absolute. So one who connects with any one of them connects with the Lord completely. At least pure connection, when the mind and the mind is completely absorbed in these activities, then one is on the same platform as the Lord. In other words, one is free from all of the influence of material energy and actually qualifies themselves to associate with the Lord. So in this age, this is the special mercy of the Lord who came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to, again, uplift the conditioned souls at a time when irreligion was starting to become very prominent in the world. He is the Yuga avatar. Each age, Yuga, has a particular incarnation of the Lord to uplift the conditioned souls. In the Satya Yuga, it was Kapila Dev. In the Treta Yuga, it's called the Red Incarnation. We don't know what that one was. It's mentioned. It's actually, he's called Yagya. He's called Yagya. It's mentioned in the 11th canto. It talks about that incarnation. In the Dwapara Yuga, it's Krishna who comes as he precedes the appearance of Lord Chaitanya at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, and that ends the Dwapara Yuga when the Lord leaves the planet, and then Kali Yuga comes in. But that happens only once in every 1,000 Yuga cycles. Lord Chaitanya doesn't come every Kali Yuga. Comes only once in every 1,000 Yuga cycles. So we might say, just imagine how fortunate we are to could become in this particular Kali Yuga, which is not a very good age for anything. It's just full of material suffering, difficulties, calamities, problems on all levels. But the bright light in this age is Lord Chaitanya was come to give the teachings of transcendental knowledge and the process of pure devotional service. And that is heralded, or you might say, led by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So in any age or any time when the Lord comes, he doesn't touch the material world. Even sometimes we see pure devotees who are so exalted in their devotion, don't touch the material world. There's a story where when Srila Prabhupada was in London, he was spending some time at Tittenhurst, which was the kind of like the rural community of John Lennon, the Beatles, but it was John Lennon's home. So Prabhupada stayed there for a little while to take rest and to do some of his translation. But he always kept his morning walk. So Prabhupada would go out early in the morning, usually about 6 o'clock, and he would walk from 6 to 7 every day. And so he was accompanied a few times by his very dear devotee, Jamuna. Jamuna was very close to Prabhupada. She loved Prabhupada so much, and Prabhupada really appreciated her devotion. She was qualified in so many ways. Prabhupada gave her a lot of opportunities to do things on behalf of preaching Krishna consciousness. So she really wanted to be with Prabhupada. So Prabhupada and her sometimes would go on a morning walk together, just the two of them. So one time she was explaining that she was walking with Prabhupada, but then she decided to walk behind Prabhupada. So she wanted to walk in his footsteps. So she was looking on the ground to step in the same place that Prabhupada stepped. But when she looked on the ground, she couldn't find any footprints. And when she looked on the ground, she saw her own footprints, but she couldn't find Prabhupada's. So then she had to ask, Prabhupada, I'm trying to walk in your footprints, but I don't see any footprints. And Prabhupada said, that will be understood later. And then he kept walking. Sometimes devotees would also say when Prabhupada walked, he would be off the ground. Not always, but at certain times they would perceive like that. So even a transcendental person who is highly developed and spiritual doesn't touch this material earth if they don't want to. We had the example of King Yudhisthira. His chariot used to float above the ground, never touching the ground, because he was so righteous, both in his activities in the material world and in his devotion to the Supreme Lord. So we can understand that Krishna, who creates this material world, who is free from all desires to enjoy the material world, or has no reason to appear in the material world, he doesn't touch the material world. Just like you can take two substances, such as oil and water, and you can mix them together. But you'll see after you mix them together, give it a little time, they'll separate into two different sections. One, the oil will be with the oil, the water will be with the water. They just don't mix, just because of their constitution. So Krishna doesn't touch the material world, but he comes to the material world simply to uplift the conditioned souls and to perform his pastimes, by which the devotees hear about or sometimes take part in, and then that qualifies them to have become actually one of the eternal associates of the Lord when they leave their body in the spiritual world. So the Lord is very merciful. There are people who say the Lord can't come to the material world. But Prabhupada would say, if he wants to come, he can come. Well, who are you to say he can't come? He's all powerful. If he wants to come, he can come. And he does come, and he gives reasons why he does. But it's never for anything personal. Of course, he wants to enjoy his pastimes with his devotees in the material world. So he comes to the most holy place, and that is Sri Vrindavan Dham, performs his pastimes there in that area, Mathura, Dwarka, Vrindavan, like that. But that's a special area that the Lord chooses because of the piety of that area. And then he invites his eternal associates to appear with him. They also come. And when the Lord wanted to leave the planet, he also arranged for his devotees to leave the planet in a very, what we say, hard to understand way. The Yadu family, Krishna's family, they were powerful. Some of them were demigods, some of them were his eternal associates in the spiritual world. They had appeared as his family members. And at one time, one of the young boys in the Yadu family, his name was Samba, he wanted to play jokes on some sages. So they dressed Samba up as a girl, and they put an iron lump in his stomach area, and they paraded him in front of the sages. And then they chided the sages, can you tell us what gender she will give birth as? The sages didn't like them, criticizing them in that way or mocking them. So the sages, one of them said, and actually they all agreed, that the birth of that baby will be the destruction of your entire dynasty. So that was an iron lump. So later on, that lump was thrown into the lump was powdered up by the family members and thrown into the ocean. But that lump was now in form of metallic powder, but at one point it washed upon the sea, upon the earth, and grew into bamboo shoots, which were iron-like. One part of it, there was one piece where one fish ate one piece of that. And that fish was caught by a hunter called Jara. And Jara cut open the fish and saw this iron piece in there. And so he was a hunter, so he took that piece and put it at the end of his arrow, and it was the tip of his arrow. So when these iron poles were growing up in the ground, they looked like bamboo shoots, but they were made out of iron. There was a party, or not necessarily a party, but there was a gathering of many of the leaders of the Yadu dynasty, and they were getting intoxicated on wine, on what was it? Rice wine. Rice wine. Rice, you can turn white. If you know the system, you can make rice, wine out of rice. So there's a fermenting program, and then there's some distilling, and then you can, don't do it, but you can make rice wine. So they were getting intoxicated, and then they start arguing among themselves. And then that argument got really dangerous, and then they start fighting, and then they start picking up these bamboo shoots, which are actual poles, and they were hitting each other, and then the whole Yadu dynasty was destroyed by that fight. That piece that was caught by the hunter, whose name was Jara, he formulated on his bow. One day he saw this beautiful person's, he saw a deer, which he thought was a deer, sitting underneath the tree, but it was Krishna's foot. So he shot that arrow with that piece, and it hit Krishna in his foot. And it said that Krishna actually died. But Krishna didn't die, because Krishna cannot be killed by anything material. But Krishna used that situation to leave the world, and he arranged for his family members to fight amongst each other, so they would actually regain their position in the heavenly planets or back in the spiritual world. So his appearance is transcendental, and his disappearance is also transcendental. And he makes it look like something ordinary. Why does he do that? He makes like he gets shot in the foot by a hunter, and he dies. Does anybody die by getting shot in the foot? No. But Krishna used that as an opportunity to fool those who think they know God, and they try to understand God without being engaged in devotional service. So to keep their ignorance intact, he arranges these disappearances like that. That's explained by Bhaktisiddhanta. So everything the Lord does is transcendental, and it has a purpose to uplift the conditioned souls, or at the same time to remove demoniac forces in the world. So now the Lord has appeared as a holy name. So in order to keep the demoniac forces from spreading too much, the chanting of the holy name is the force which will push back the demoniac forces in the present day. And if it becomes very powerful, then the demons actually can be destroyed through the Harinam Sankirtan. And that was shown by Lord Chaitanya when he marched on the palace of Chandkazi and created a revolution through Harinam Sankirtan, when millions of living entities came from all over the universe to join at Harinam Sankirtan. It was so powerful that although it was at night, they were carrying torches. There were so many torches that it looked like the sun had come out. It looked like daytime. That's a nice pastime. It's mentioned both in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's really mentioned in its completeness in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So the Lord shows that through this Harinam Sankirtan, any demoniac or evil forces are actually destroyed through the chanting of the holy name. And for the conditioned souls, it gives them the chance to purify themselves and come to the platform of pure devotional service. So whatever the Lord does, it's always for the benefit of others. He has no personal interest for himself. Many times he does things for his own enjoyment. Like when he comes to the material world, he performs his pastimes in the material world with his devotees, and he enjoys interacting with his devotees, just like he does in the spiritual world. He takes that same interaction and brings it to the material world, performs his pastimes here. And then he leaves, and then the devotees remember those pastimes, hear about those pastimes, glorify the Lord, and they become purified through that process. Okay, so we can open it up for questions.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dear devotees, so yes, you can ask your questions by raising your hands, or if you can't do so, you can put your question in the chat window and I will relay that on your behalf. Also, a kind request, if you can turn on your cameras to make the session more interactive, personal, that would be helpful. Thank you. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, you have a question? Please go ahead.
Let's see, we've only got 8 cameras. 8 cameras out of 37 devotees. We're up to 10. Come on, let's see what we can do here. Let's see if we can get over 50%. Okay, there you go, Shakshi. Rajamandal, I know you can do it. Prema Bhakti, thank you. Okay. Who else is there? Eka Chakra, she can't hide. Okay. Radha Bhakti Madhuri, welcome, welcome. Shrankla and Braja Mandala. Okay, we got 5, 10, 15, 20. That's more than half. We're happy. But the rest of you, stop cooking and listen to the class. Janava. Oh, Janava. Wow. Thank you. It's a rare treat to see you. Anyway, it's pretty cold in Chicago, huh? Okay, so we're up to almost 30 now. Okay, any questions?
Yes, we have a hands raised by Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu. Prabhu, please go ahead.
Yeah. Very much, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very much. So in the purport that Srila Prabhupada wrote 3 reasons for Krishna's appearance. And one of them was, but all 3 of them seem to be based around love and compassion, because he was here for the devotees out of love. He was here for those that are not devotees but may become devotees out of love for them. And even for the upstarts and the demoniac, he was still showing compassion to not only everyone else in the world but those individuals as well. And then when you talked about the purification process, the chanting of the holy names, and the chanting of the holy names, what is that but another ocean of love? And then we as individual spirit souls, because we're made of the same substance as him, we're also creatures of love, but it feels like we've been suffocating by this material energy. It's like covering our eyes and covering our ears, and we're just like desperately fumbling around, stumbling and fumbling to try and find that love that we need. And because we can't see and we can't hear and we don't know what we're doing, we stumble everywhere. But as soon as we come into contact with these oceans of love, like the holy names of the Lord, and take a dip, and we feel so happy. That's just my understanding. You can tell me where I've gone wrong.
No, you didn't say anything that is not in line with Krishna's desires. He comes out of compassion for the fallen souls. Even though we leave him and we forget about him, he doesn't forget about us. And that's his special mercy. Sometimes you see in the material world, if someone doesn't have any regard for you, then you just ignore them. But Krishna is not like that. He'll even do things in your life to somehow remind you of your relationship with him. He's always, because he sits in your heart, he's there, Antaryami. He's the indwelling super soul within the hearts of all living entities. He's the closest thing to us. But we think that he's far away somewhere in the spiritual world, but he's right next to us in his super soul feature, which is just as good as his feature as the Bhagawan feature, except he plays a different role in super soul. He doesn't perform his pastimes in the material world as super soul, but he performs his activities to guide the conditioned souls back to him through giving them transcendental knowledge within the heart. He works externally as the spiritual master, and he works internally as the Lord in the heart. And then he also comes as his personal feature. So you'll see in so many ways the Lord is appearing within the material world, all to guide the conditioned souls.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, why is it then that even though he's with us, even though we're sitting or standing there in front of the deity form of the Lord, even though we're chanting the holy names of the Lord, we feel so distant from him? Even when we're doing everything to come close, in those moments we feel the furthest away.
Yeah, because to actually experience the presence of the Lord, you have to serve the Lord and please the Lord by your service. Then he reciprocates by giving you some knowledge of himself or general knowledge you need to practice devotional service. He helps to detach yourself from some material desires. So he's reciprocating in that way. Mm-hmm. But when you actually worship him with love, genuine love, that love that is not motivated by personal interests, but motivated just to please the Lord, to serve the Lord, then you can feel his presence very strongly. Because he's only attracted by love. But he's still there with us, even though we don't have love. But also, Lord Chaitanya is teaching a certain mood of worship, and that's worshiping the Lord in separation. Vipalamba Bhav, hankering for the presence of the Lord through the execution of our devotional service. And when that hankering becomes strong, then the desire manifests within the heart, and you can feel the presence of the Lord within your heart. And then, even though you're not personally present, still you feel his presence internally. And he's guiding you. He talks to you. But you have to qualify yourself. Only by undivided devotional service can I be known as I am. standing before you. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So we connect with Krishna through the spiritual master, who is his representative. But we can connect directly through the spiritual master's instructions when we develop love for Krishna. Krishna is only gotten by love. Nothing less, not by knowledge, not by expertise in anything. None of these things really attract him, but they can be used to serve him.
Maharaj, all I feel when I'm like worshipping or chanting or anything to the best that I can, all I feel is like a spear going through my heart.
Well, it's a good spirit. It's the pain of being separated from the Lord. That is also a stage of bhakti where one actually started, it's called contrition. The Christians have a terminology they use, contrition, or becoming contrite. That means you start feeling unhappy because you left the Lord, and you start feeling lost. But at the same time, you're feeling the mercy of the Lord at the same time. You're shedding tears, you're unhappy because you realize you're such a fool that you came to the material world and now you're left, you're the most important well-wisher in your life, the source of your happiness, the source of all of your success in life. And now you're in this material world. And when you realize that, oh my God, you feel it's like a spear in the heart. But that pain is good. It inspires you to try to go further in your relationship with Krishna. So the principle for getting Krishna is called lauyam. Lauyam means greed. When you only want Krishna and nothing else, everything else in this material world becomes pale, becomes uninteresting, becomes simply a botheration. But that's a high stage of bhakti. And we can come to that stage through the process given to us, through chanting, through serving, through understanding our relationship, and especially through glorifying Krishna. That's why it says, Satam prasangam mamamirya sambido bhavanti ritkarna rasayanikata najosita dat aktavargam bhaktir, what is it? Ratir bhaktir anukramisyati. That hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord in the association of devotees is nectar to both the heart and to the ear. And when one engages in that, then devotional service actually begins. Devotional service really begins on the platform when we regularly glorify the Lord. One of the principles of glorification that we do is to chant his holy name. But then again, there's his pastimes, his qualities, his forms, his pure devotees. These are all forms that we take shelter in and glorify and take and learn about. That connects us more and more with Krishna. Then you start learning about Krishna, why he does what he does, what happens in the spiritual world, how he interacts with his pure devotees, how he interacts with the material energy, how he interacts with different types of living entities. You get to know the Lord. You get to know how he thinks and how he does things. Then your relationship with the Lord becomes like a family member. Well, if we just sit in our apartment and chant some Hare Krishna and once in a while do something, you're not going to make much advancement. You'll be protected from material suffering, but that's about all you'll get. You have to be eager to hear about and serve the Lord. The eagerness has to manifest.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I was
Okay.
actually worried about that because I was in this Narasimdev Yagna on New Year's Day, and I was sitting in the Yagna, and all I could feel was this like burning spear going into my heart, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope I haven't done anything wrong. I hope Narasimdev's not angry with me. But I just sat there and just like, it was amazing, but it was painful too.
To chutney. It's so
Chutney.
sweet. That's so sweet you don't want it to stop, and it's so painful you want it to stop. That's love of God has 5 ingredients. It's mentioned on Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know, camphor, saffron, what is it, musk. Oh, and then it has one other ingredient called black pepper. That's mentioned. So 4 of the 5 ingredients are very nice, but one is black pepper. It burns. But that burning is simply your separation from Krishna. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Akshit Prabhu, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Turn on your camera.
Yes.
If you can turn on your camera, Prabhu, that would be helpful.
Actually, I can't turn on my camera right now.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. My question is, how can we logically refute the people who say God can't have a form?
God is the creator of everything, and he's created so many forms, but he doesn't have a form. Haribo. That's as logical as getting milk from a donkey, you know? It's not even logical. The person who creates all the forms has no form himself. You have a form, but God doesn't have a form. He has a form. And his form is not like our form. Our form is limited. His form is unlimited. That means within his form, all of the qualities of the absolute truth exist. So it doesn't have, yeah, but it says in the scriptures that he has no material form, but he has a spiritual form. So the scriptures actually say he has form, but not material form, not like our form. Our form is not us anyway. That form that we inhabit, called the body, is just a combination of material ingredients, which is subject to the time element and will be disappear in due course of time. We also have a spiritual form, which is part of our existence as a spiritual being. But that we don't know until we get to the higher stages of bhakti, what is our spiritual form. But Krishna has form, and he's the source of all form. Your father creates you, but because he's your father, he doesn't have a form, although he creates you. Krishna says, Aham bija vidapita, I'm the seed-giving, life-giving ingredient of all living beings. And we see in the temples, the Lord manifests as his form in the form of a deity. And he has so many forms. His original form is Krishna. Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadi Govinda Sarvakarna Karna. Not only does he have form, he has unlimited forms. And so there's no logic in that statement at all. And it's also against the Shastras. It's the Shastras we take as the word of God. We take that as authority. So anybody can say anything. That doesn't make it right. What's right is given by the authority, not someone's opinion. Who cares about somebody's opinion? It doesn't have any value anyway. You can say, well, my opinion is that the sun rises in the west. Well, who cares about your opinion? There's so many opinions. And there's an old saying, a goat will eat anything and a madman will speak anything. So people will say anything. Rather than serving the Lord and hearing about the Lord, they want to try to understand the Lord simply by their own speculations. But he's not subject to your speculations. Akshit, did you get that one?
Yeah, thank you, Guru Maharaj. I understood.
Yeah. No. Form comes from form.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sri Devi Mataji, you have a question? You can go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. As you were reading the purport, Guru Maharaj, I was thinking about the Lord's form and how it is completely transcendental at all times, in all situations, in all circumstances, and the Lord has nothing to do with the material energy. So, this preposterous claim by the Mayavadis that when he comes, he takes on a material form, and that's the form that is, what we know. And this claim by the Mayavadis, how they have even come up with this idea that God can have a material form when there's nothing material about God, about Krishna. So
Well,
this is just
Mayavadis are worshippers of Maya. They think everything is illusion. Therefore, they say the form of the Lord is also material, therefore it's illusion. They worship the external energy as supreme. But they say beyond the external energy, there is the spiritual energy, but it's formless. They give some logic. They say form is limited and formlessness is unlimited. Therefore, the absolute truth is unlimited. We agree, but Krishna's form is not material. Out of his form, he creates everything. From his transcendental body, everything it manifests. That's mentioned in Shastra. So they can say whatever they want to say, but that doesn't make it right.
okay.
And
Thank you, Guru
Krishna,
Maharaj.
and sometimes even the incarnations of Krishna will exhibit certain characteristics of a material form. And then they'll say, well, see, that shows it's material. But Krishna doesn't try to change their opinion. Krishna says, Sarvasya jaham mridisani visto matat smirti jnanam apohanam cha. If you want knowledge, I give it to you. If you want remembrance, I give it to you. If you want to forget, I also help you to forget. So they want to think of God in a certain way. So God says, yeah, okay. continue. He's not out for popular opinion, nor does he try to prove himself. The only way you can know Krishna is only by devotional service, not through philosophical or spiritual speculation. You can't know God. There's a statement also. Not by philosophy, not by great knowledge, not by great abilities. Can you understand the Lord? Only by devotional service. And only when he wants, and then he reveals himself to the devotee.
Okay, so Guru Maharaj, just as a quick follow-up to that, this verse, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Yo Janati Tatvataha, one who knows the nature of my transcendental form and activities does not take birth. So this particular verse, when Krishna is declaring this, does it mean that the devotees only know the Lord and have full conviction about the transcendental nature of his birth, his activities, his form? Only they are therefore eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, because they have firm conviction about this fact.
But yeah, they realize the Lord's birth is divyam, or transcendental. We use the analogy of the sun. The sun never rises, the sun never sets. Sunrise and sunset is just a word. The sun is always in its orbit in the sky. Sunrise and sunset is from our perspective. But the sun never rises or sets. So the Lord is always there, but he appears and disappears. And we see it in that way. But when you understand that he is always transcendently present, then that realization qualifies you to go back home, back to God. Birth and activities, janma and karma.
So is that a process? Is that a process of going deeper and deeper into devotional life to gain that realization? And will that come at nishtha or ruchi or bhava? At what stage will we have this realization, Guru Maharaj?
Spontaneous attraction for Krishna develops usually on the stage of ruchi, and then it matures on the stage of ashakti. And then it becomes fixed on the stage of bhava, and actually becomes ripened on the stage of prema. Well, I'm just like Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. A 7.5-year-old boy lifting a hill with a pinky of his left hand. They think it's mythology. But he does superhuman activities also, along with acting ordinarily like every conditioned soul. He does both. So even devotees think, how can a 7.5-year-old boy lift a mountain that is 60 miles tall and 40 miles around? That's the size of Govardhan when Krishna was personally present. But you know the story of the cobbler and the Brahmin?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, so that is
complete conviction in that cobbler. My Lord is great. He can do anything. That is real bhakti.
Yeah, he could see the greatness of the Lord in the very simple thing as a banyan tree. But the Brahmin couldn't understand, although he was supposedly a devotee. He wasn't a devotee, he was a ritualistic Brahmana. Only by devotional service can I be known. Only. Outside of that, we say that people are simply licking the honey bottle. They're never tasting the honey. And their tongue is getting, tired. That's about it. Only by devotional service. And that devotional service has to be guided by Krishna through Krishna's representative, the spiritual master. We can't just do what we want and call it devotional service. That's karma at best, karma yoga. There's many persons who claim to be devotees and they don't follow the spiritual master, they don't follow anybody, and they just, they might chant, they might hang around in the temple, might do this, might do that. They never can understand Krishna. They have some piety, they're getting some benefit, but they'll never progress beyond a certain point unless they actually take shelter of the spiritual master and work strictly under his guidance. The path back to Godhead is a narrow path. The material world is the wide path.
Razor's edge. Spiritual. I remember Srila Prabhupada saying, yeah, I think Srila Prabhupada said it or wrote it. I don't remember how it happened, but didn't Srila Prabhupada say spiritual life razor's edge?
He said when you're shaving with a razor, you have to be careful. You have to be attentive. If you're a little inattention, and then there's a cut. So he says when you're practicing Krishna consciousness, Maya's behind you, she's on the side of you, she's up, she's down. There's only one way she's not, and that's if you look straight forward and you see Krishna. But Maya's all around. So keep your connection with Krishna. Chant his name, read about him, associate with his devotees, serve his devotees, take only Krishna prasadam, and develop a mood of wanting to serve. Look for opportunities to serve. This is the narrow path, but Lord Chaitanya has widened that path by his mercy. He's made it easier.
Yes,
Dinanath,
Guru Maharaj.
any more
Thank you.
questions?
No, I think that was the last question. There's no question in the chat as well at the moment.
Okay. Give it a minute or two, maybe somebody will say something.
Yes, Maharaj.
But I have
We have one.
I have 6 devotees sitting with me in my room here. And we have a question from.
Yeah, I have a question and he has a question.
Okay, you have a question and you have okay, we'll take our guest first. Your name
Yeah,
is? Tell me your name again.
Sham Ishwari.
Huh?
Sham Ishwari.
Shama?
Sham Ishwari.
Sham Ishwari. Okay, Sham Ishwari has a question.
So I was wondering about the last point that you had made about how Krishna only acts for the benefit of others, but he's the supreme enjoyer. So it's so confusing.
Well, He's inviting you to come with him and enjoy. You think he's miserable? He wants you to come with him so you can tell him, he can tell you his problems. No, he wants you to be with him so you can enjoy with him. That's the purpose of bhakti. So he's always, what is it? He's Atmarama. That means he's self-contained. She couldn't balance these two apparent contradictions. He's kind and loving to all, but at the same time, he's the supreme enjoyer. Because we're thinking that he's like us, that when we want to enjoy, we center ourselves around ourselves. But when Krishna wants to enjoy, he invites all of us to take part in his enjoyment. Because he knows there's no higher happiness for the conditioned souls than to be with him in a loving, enjoyable relationship. Krishna is cool.
You know they made a banner like that in London? Have you seen that?
Krishna is cool. He's the coolest guy around.
Krishna's cool, man.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, questions.
We have another question by Teja.
We see that, I mean, at least I see that, sense gratification is so easy, available, and maybe
Sense gratification is
so easy, but devotional service is full of efforts, moment to moment efforts.
so sense gratification is easy, and devotional service, you have to work for it. The karmis are working hard for sense gratification, and they still can't get it. It looks easy, but it's the sort, in the sense that although they're connecting their senses with sense objects, they're not getting the pleasure that they try for. Yehi samsparsaja boga, dukkha yonaya evate, avantavante kuntaya lateshu ramate buddha. Dinanath, turn to Bhagavad Gita 5:22.
Yes.
This is a nice verse.
522, yes, okay.
Yeah. Yehi samsparsaja boga. Dukkha evate avantavanta kontaya natesha ramate buddha. What does it say? An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to the contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and a wise man does not delight in them. So material sense pleasure, due to contact with the senses and the sense objects, they ultimately lead to misery. Because everything in this material world is dualistic. If you get some pleasure from something, you'll also get pain from the same thing. People love each other and they think this is nice, but then one of them dies and they suffer like crazy. Or one of them leaves the other one. So we see in any situation in the material world, you get both a little bit of so-called pleasure and a lot of suffering, unfulfilled desires. So it's not that easy. Real sense pleasure is Krishna consciousness, and the senses become satisfied. And there's no suffering that's connected with that. But we have to make an effort to become Krishna conscious. And that effort is seen by the Lord and by the devotees as your desire. So the more you make an effort, that means the more you're showing Krishna how much you want it. We have to make an effort. Why? Because of our conditioned nature. Getting over a conditioned nature means to put efforts into our spiritual activities. Because conditioned nature is long-term. It sticks to us. One devotee was preaching to one nice couple in South America, and he was saying to the man, "You're a spirit soul." And he was saying to the man's wife, "You're a spirit soul." And the lady said, "Yes, he's a man, he's a male spirit soul, and I'm a female spirit soul." So we still can't get away from the gender idea. People are they still apply material definitions on spiritual nomenclature. Yeah. Okay. So make that effort. And the effort, even if you apparently don't succeed in making an effort in Krishna, in other words, you're trying to chant attentively, but you're not chanting attentively. But the fact that you're making an effort to try to chant attentively is bhakti. Krishna sees the effort. Of course, we want to come to the stage of chanting attentively, but your desire to chant attentively, even though you may not come to it, is seen by Krishna as bhakti, because you're trying. He sees your effort. You're trying. He reciprocates with that. There's another question. Yeah, we have a question from Prasida Chaitanya.
Yes, Maharaj. Proceed, Chaitanya Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances in your lotus feet, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, as I heard that in the Treta Yuga, Bali, Lord Ram actually killed Bali in a hidden way, and in Dwapar also. That is why in the Dwapar Yuga, Krishna was hit by hunter, and he's in a previous this hunter was Bali in the previous birth. Is it is this mentioned in any shastra scriptures?
I never read it, nor I never heard it.
Because somehow it is against that we read today at Janma Karmicha Divyam. So somehow it is showing that Lord is also affected by the karma.
No. The Lord is affected by karma, and karma is superior than the Lord.
Yes.
That's somebody's speculation.
Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes the Lord will act on a material level just to teach. But it's not karma. It's just giving instructions.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sridevi Mataji, you have a question? You have
Salvation is.
okay.
Can you hear me?
You broke up,
Haribol?
Mataji. You're breaking up.
Okay, I'll turn off my video. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, I'll repeat. In the purport, it is said that the primitive workers and those who are after salvation can, I don't remember exactly. Can you pull up that purport? Can gain, when they see the Lord protecting the devotees, then they will get also attracted to devotional service. So that means both these categories have to first come in touch with devotees in order to get the Lord's mercy. Is that correct?
That's what it's
When they
saying.
see the Lord's protection in
Yeah.
that purport,
Yeah. Yeah, without coming in contact with the process of devotional service, their desires are not fulfilled.
So that means they have to first come in contact with devotees and see how the Lord is protecting devotees. Then only they will get attracted to devotional service.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they have to
Okay.
get connected to the process of bhakti. But by the mercy of a pure devotee, they can also get the akama sarvakama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That three categories of people: akama, those who have no material desires; moksha kama, those who desire liberation; kama sarva karma, those who have many material desires. All of them are benefited by the process of devotional service. Kama, moksha kama, sarva kama.
So here it is said, the Lord always acts in favor of devotees. Therefore, ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as protector of the devotees. So for this, they have to recognize that it is the Lord who is acting as protector of the devotees, isn't it?
It said, does it say they have to recognize or just come in contact?
No, it just says in this line it said, those who are fruitive workers or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as the protector of the devotees.
It says maybe, doesn't mean guaranteed. They may be.
Uh-huh.
In other words,
So
if they're
therefore,
non-envious, then they
right,
can get
right.
that attraction.
And when they come in contact with devotees and they see the devotees getting the Lord's mercy, his favor, his protection, and then they also will get attracted to the Lord.
Some, it says may, it doesn't say guaranteed.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Okay, should we end here?
Uh,
We have a question. We have a question on the peanut gallery here. That means those on site.
Maharaj, you said about the bottle licking happiness. People are like who are not actually by great knowledge and talents we cannot actually please the Lord only by devotional service the Lord is giving. So otherwise people are getting tired because they're just drinking the water. That's he mentioned. That lines he mentioned.
And there's a verse. What is that verse? Not by great intelligence, not by studying Shastra, not by great oratory abilities can you understand the Lord. Only when He allows you to understand Him, then you can understand Him. And He works within the context of those who are devoted to Him. Karmis can understand the Lord as simply one who gives relief from material miseries. The karmis can understand the Lord as someone who gives me some kind of material success in life. The yogis understand the Lord as they think the Lord is the source of all power, and they can tap into his power through mystic, by developing mystic cities like that. So they all have their own perspective of the Lord according to the desires that they want fulfilled. But devotees don't have any desires. All they want to do is please the Lord. And they want to purify themselves and come back to the Lord in devotional service. So everybody they all have karma, they all have some desire, but devotee has no desire, no material desire. He has a spiritual desire. Yeah, so There's only one way, and Krishna says it over and over again, only by devotional service.
I wanted to know, even are we like the bottle living happiness, that happiness around? So we are also having that because we are not completely pure devotional service. We are also not doing
So what's the question?
So how does that bottle eating happiness looks like?
How does what?
Bottle, that you mentioned that word, that people are just leaving the bottle around, they're not tasting the real happiness.
Yeah, because they're not getting into the devotional service.
So how does that look like, that happiness?
There's no happiness. If it's Bhakti Siddhanta has said that there's honey, and the honey is very sweet. But if you think I can get the honey by licking the outside of the bottle, then you're a fool. You got to open the bottle and get the contents. So people try to get that happiness in other ways, but it's like licking the outside of the bottle. It's not available.
So sense gratification would be licking the bottle.
Well, it's just ignorance of the process of understanding the Lord. Yeah. Sense gratification or material sense gratification is one of the ways you can define that licking of the bottle. Jnana yoga, stanga yoga, all of the different yogas are just, they can't enter into the relationship with the Lord.
What about
Neophyte means one who's in the path of bhakti but hasn't developed beyond a certain point. We have to get away from the neophyte stage and come to the second stage. That is called the Madhyama, middle platform. On that platform, you can execute devotional service. And there's four qualities. What are the four qualities? Who knows that we know the four qualities of the middle stage? Who knows? What are the four qualities of the middle stage of bhakti? Madhyama Madhikari.
Compassion to the ignorant.
Compassion to the fallen conditioned souls. That means preaching.
He looks through the shastras on everything.
Hmm?
He looks on everything through shastra.
That's not one of the qualities mentioned. Compassion to the ignorant.
Avoiding demons. Avoiding
Avoiding the atheist non-devotees, those who are against devotional service. And the last two?
Following the regulative principles, Maharaj, in the footsteps of previous Acharya.
No. It's very specific. Four principles of Madhyama Madhikari.
Is it treating people according to
Manisha, you have your hand up?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Mercy towards innocent or ignorant.
Yeah, this was mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
Avoiding the non-devotee atheists, merciful to the ignorant, that means raising them up, preaching. And what's the other two?
well versed in shastra.
Come on, everybody out there must know it. I know so. I know devotees know it. And the other two are very understanding. One, the Madhyama Adhikari, he loves the Lord, makes friends with the devotees, raises the innocent up, and avoids the non-devotee atheists. That's the four qualities of Madhyama. That's the platform by which we execute devotional service. The neophyte platform is simply centered around, I have my guru and Krishna's there, and the devotees are simply a nuisance. In other words, they don't develop real relationships with other devotees. That's neophyte platform. And they're always thinking that whatever they do is the best in devotional service. They're proud of nothing. And the Uttama Arikari, you can't imitate that. They're on the highest platform. They see all living entities as pure devotees, and they don't even preach. There's no preaching on the Uttama, because they see themselves as the lowest, and they see everyone else as being more advanced than them. You can't adopt that consciousness. It's not adoptable. It comes only by very elevated forms of bhakti. So most of the spiritual masters who take the role of spiritual master are uttama, but they come down to the madhyaman in order to preach. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya. Paramahansa is the highest. Parivakacharya is preaching. So that's why we glorify the spiritual masters. They come from the Paramahansa to the Paraj. Now there's different kinds of spiritual masters. There's those who are on the Madhyaman platform and those who are on the Uttaman platform, but come to the Madhyaman platform. So we can understand Srila Prabhupada was on the Uttama platform, because when he was leaving the body, he was apologizing to everyone for all of the offenses he made towards everybody. He went back to his stage of being on the Paramahansa stage in the last part of his life. But when he came to this world, he came down from that platform so he could preach. Because preaching means discrimination. And the Uttama doesn't discriminate. Okay? Is that okay? You got it? All right, so I think we ran out of questions. The peanut gallery is silent.
So opening the honey bottle was just bhakti.
Huh?
Opening the honey bottle was just bhakti.
And tasting the ingredients. Not just opening the bottle and looking at it. Don't add it to your tea, drink it straight. Okay. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, Paramhans sees God in everyone, is it?
Say again.
Actually, as you differentiate Paramhans and the Parivajakacharya, that Srila Prabhupada he was a preacher, and at the end of the life, he actually told to his Guru, God with us, and he was sorry for his activity, something is like that. So he became Paramhans. He became Paramhans.
Well, he was again attaining to that stage of who he actually was in the last part of his life. He revealed that by his words, but that was natural. He wasn't trying to reveal it, because in that stage he's in pure love of Krishna right there. So he feels so humble. His humility reaches such a high level that he feels himself completely worthless.
Okay.
Can't understand it, don't try it. But you can achieve it through Ananya Bhakti, that Bhakti which is pure. Just Rupa Goswami's definition, and you'll understand what pure devotional service is. Ayabilasita Sunya, Jnana Karmananartam, Anukulena Krishna Silanam, Bhakti Uttama. Write this verse down. It's from the preface of Nectar Devotion. It's 1.1.1. Easy to remember. in nectar devotion. Ayabila, one who is free from all desires for fruit of gain, and free from all desires for gain through philosophical speculation, who serves the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord, that is pure devotional service. These four qualities. No personal gain, no desire for philosophical gain, no serving the Lord, and serving the Lord with a desire to please the Lord, not just serving the Lord. The demons, they please the Lord, but they don't get bhakti because they have no desire to please the Lord, although they please the Lord. How do they please the Lord? Krishna likes to fight, and so they're there, and Krishna has somebody to fight with, and he feels happy, and they please the Lord, so they get liberation, but they don't get bhakti. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you all tomorrow for Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Those who want to look ahead, it's in, let's see, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse 42 is tomorrow's class. 742. Okay, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.